Hello everyone, it's Dweebo, back with another review, or well, this is like an impression thing, not a review, I lied. Impressions, multiple impression, on the Final Fantasy 15 demo that came with Final Fantasy Type 0. Final Fantasy Type 0 being, this is a remaster of a game that we never got over here in Japan, PSP game from 2011. And it's kind of a different take on a Final Fantasy game. It's more action-oriented or whatever, and I was looking forward to it. Unfortunately, that game just sucks, I think. I just don't like it. I'm actually selling that. But inside of that thing, I got it for a good deal, so I'm actually getting my money back. But what I'm getting for free out of it was something called a Final Fantasy 15 episode Duscae. I don't know what it's called. I'm just calling it the demo, Final Fantasy 15 demo. It's 5 gigs of demo here, and I didn't know what I was going into. But what I was excited about was I did an impression video when I first saw the trailer and the gameplay that's been coming out of Final Fantasy 15. And what excited me the most was it looked like, to me, just a bunch of guys getting in a car and going on a road trip. And then you get off the side of the road and fight monsters, and it's open world. And it's like a road trip adventure game. Which, since I was a kid, I was like, I've always thought that would be a cool game. But no one's ever kind of touched that. But Square Enix has. And that's the thing. When my impression video, I thought, man, that'd be cool if they did that. And then in an interview that came out like very shortly after I did that video, they said, people asked him, this looks like you're just getting with a bunch of guys and going on a road trip. And the creator or whatever said, yep, that's exactly what this is. You're going on a road trip with your buddies, and you're just exploring. You get in the car, you can go anywhere. There's like a set path you're trying to get somewhere, but that's cool with me. You know, you're going somewhere. And something that's important with that is the mood. Does Square Enix nail the mood with this game so far as we can see? Because when you're on a road trip, it's camping, it's all that stuff. It's like, you know, the togetherness. I don't know, just like there's a certain mood, you know, a theme that can go along with that. And playing Majora's Mask recently, I kind of, you know, realized I miss that in games now. There's no deep mood or atmospheric feeling to playing a game anymore, or like something that you could just immediately like, oh, that game makes me feel this or makes me feel that. Like I haven't felt that way with games in a long kind of time since I played, you know, playing Majora's Mask. It reminded me, man, you know, games have gotten better, we've gotten bigger, but have we lost that a little bit? And I think so. So I was excited about this game. So I'll start out with, you know, the biggie. Just get this out of the way because it's such a, you know, an initial feature of this game. But what are the graphics like? We saw it in the trailer. How's it like in, you know, playing it? And again, I want to say too, the stuff I'm going to be using and throwing up on the screen here are actually gameplay I recorded using the PS4 like share thing. You double tap the share button to click to start recording, and I think you can record up to 15 minutes per clip or whatever. And then you can actually hold down the button to take a screenshot. So I actually used that for all that you're seeing right here, and it's really cool because I don't have a capture card, and this worked out really well for me. So going forward, any PS4 game, I think I'm gonna throw up, you know, gameplay that I recorded myself on here. It's really easy. So check that out if you haven't already. Back to the issue at hand. Graphics on this freaking game are awesome. I don't think there's any other description for it, and I've seen articles written on like the summons in this game and just how beautiful those things. I'm going to get into that later, but it's just gorgeous. It looks great. I saw some articles online say it's not running at full 1080 thing, and I'm like, it's not done. We're not close to done. But even not finished, this game just blew me away how gorgeous it looked. Looking up at the night sky and all the stars in the sky, all of the just environments, the enemies, the animations are just, you can't do this with last gen. And a thing I've noticed with these next gen kind of games, these like particles and stuff flying around there, couldn't get that last gen, and that's like shows up big time in this. And I hope like with the magic, when you're doing magic or whatever you get later in the game, I think that'll probably be like there's just gonna throw sparks everywhere, which it looks freaking cool. Yeah, just the day and night system looks gorgeous. It really changes the environments you're in. The lighting, top notch, and the summons are just unbelievable, which I'll get into when it gets to gameplay because it kind of has to do with that. But awesome. I think that's kind of a staple of the series, is let's make things look good. Final Fantasy 13, for as many people that didn't like that or whatever, you couldn't deny just, I would just turn the camera around. I would stop playing just to turn the camera around and look at some of the environments because they were just drop dead gorgeous. They nailed graphics in that game. And this kind of carried over. It just looks gorgeous for an open world game, more so than I even expected. The animations add to it. It's awesome. The music. From the initial title screen, this theme, I think it's the theme. They've written for it, or I don't know what it is, but I loved it. And that's really good. Some of the battle music, they bring back when you finish a battle the and I thought that was a nice little touch. They add a lot of the classic kind of stuff in there and sound effects and whatever that you've grown to know in the series, but they've adapted to this whole world, this whole new feeling for Final Fantasy game. So music sounds good. It adds when there's like boss stuff or going on or whatever when you get later in the demo at least. Which I expect to go the rest of the game too. It just builds up. It knows when to come on and stuff. They don't overdo you with music. I felt during this, they did it at good times, and that was a plus to me. So the music and graphics are great. What do I think of the gameplay? This is kind of the big question on everybody's mind. How else is this going to turn out? Because with Final Fantasy, it's always been turn-based. The closest we got to almost real-time in a Final Fantasy game, other than Type 0, all that garbage and all that stuff, sorry, it is, was the Final Fantasy 12, which you could actually move around, but you're still locked down to a kind of active battle system where you had to click and whatever. And I really like that. I've really, really enjoyed that. So, coming from someone I've played since Final Fantasy 10. I really like that. And I went back and played the older ones after that, after I found out, I love RPGs. I love all these games. Coming from that to this, what are people going to think? I saw people online just livid that they were doing action, like an action RPG. You can still stop to, you have to stop or pause it in a way. You pull up the menu to do your items and stuff. And that stops all, like the gameplay and everything, to pull up your items if you want to use an item. That's as close as I kind of figured out. Or found to that old style, but you're usually just hitting the square button to attack, and there's different mechanics in the tutorial. You can kind of see, you can do this mechanic we saw in the trailer where you throw your sword, and the weapons materialize out of the air. It's pretty crazy, and you throw it up. You can throw them on different places, and in the tutorial, there's like this tower or something, and it like really quickens up your health and your MP recovery, and it works great. You can then aim. You lock on and aim at an enemy, and you can like do a lunge strike from wherever you're at. It's really, 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 really cool. And since I saw it in the trailer, I was stoked to finally. I was getting goosebumps playing it because I was just like, this is really cool. I think they're gonna take this to just crazy levels. I can only imagine boss fights and stuff with this. So, really liked that. After you do the tutorial, that you learn, what I saw in the old trailer and stuff was when they were like fighting, the main character had that smooth animation. He was like dodging attacks, and what that is, it looks so kind of weird. But you hold L1 and you go into like a defensive thing, and you're using magic points when you do defend, but it's actually you're getting away from the enemy or whatever. You're not getting hit, so that's useful, and that can I hope they kind of incorporate that well. So you know when to defend, you know when to attack. If they nail that, I love the combat. I think it's done really well. Yes, it's not turn-based. Yes, it's going to be. They've just uprooted everything from the Final Fantasy series in this game. Don't go into it expecting what you've played before, because it is out of this world different. I cannot believe how uprooted it is, and I love that. I love that they said, you know what, you can always go back to those games. They're there. Final Fantasy 1 through 12 or 13 or whatever, those games are there. You can play them. Let's do something new for a new generation. And I think they have nailed that that vision and their imagination for what a new generation Final Fantasy looks like. Awesome. I think they nailed it from this demo for so far. What I think. So I'm gonna go through. Spoiler alert for people that don't want to know, but if you're watching impression videos, I thought you would expect this maybe, but I'm going to kind of go through the demo from start to finish in some ways, like the big points I want to hit here because it has to do with the gameplay. So the game starts with you in a tent with your buddies or whatever, you're camping out, and I thought this was such a great way. I knew for the start what they were doing, and I was excited they did this, but they start you in this tent, and you're enclosed with everybody, and they're like, all right, time to go, time to get up. And it's so cool that when they unzip the thing to look outside and you get to see the open world for the first time, it looks gorgeous. And it makes you go like, oh, I want to explore that. I want to go out there. And I thought that was smart. I think it's the person that directed the Kingdom Hearts games. I'm not sure the name, but I think he's been working. He was the main kind of guy for a while on this thing. So I think he's leaving to put his full work at Kingdom Hearts 3. That's coming out. So but I think his legacy or the way he's built this is already well deep into the system to change now. But yeah, it just was awesome. It made me real excited to get into this world. So as I said, you go out in this field, do the tutorial, and it turned, like when I was going across the field, it turned to night for me. I don't know if this will be the true for everybody else, but I'm fighting or whatever. I'm fighting these enemies. You press R1 to lock onto enemies, and I'm fighting. I do have a kind of critique. Other people are saying this online too, but when you're fighting, holding out R1 to like lock on, sometimes the enemies will run out of the way and you're just left looking at nothing and attacking nothing. They still have, I think they're at 60% done was the last interview they said on this game. So I think they still have a lot to do, and I think that they'll fix this, the lock-on system, because it had some work. It felt kind of rough. But so I really enjoyed that. I think the enemies are really cool looking so far, what they've showed. There was like some dog crazy thing and like this big woolly mammoth like rhino looking thing. I don't know. They're cool. They're neat. And I think everybody's animation and stuff and fighting and your whole party fighting is just awesome looking. It just, you almost want to sit back and pause the game. I wish I could just look back at like the animation and stuff that are going on. Feels like a next-gen game. It feels, it looks incredible. Everybody moving and their movements are just like, wow, the animation frames they got in there were incredible. It looks good. So what happened to me was it turned night, and then a dropship came in. They're like, oh, shoot, here's these soldiers, which they haven't, I don't think they've really explained in the story yet. But these soldiers came, they dropped out of the sky, and just a real-time dynamic fight happened in this field. They dropped down, and these enemies came, and that doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes they'll just pull in this dropship, they'll see people, and they'll fight you. I thought that was cool. Again, that is a total departure from a Final Fantasy game. Just way out there, and I love it. I got to this campsite, but what's really, really neat, and adds to the mood when I go back to talking about, like, this is a road trip game, this is whatever. It got nighttime, they're frightened, like, hey, maybe it's time to camp up, and you see this rock, or these, like, I think that's what they're going to kind of go for, is these rocks. When you see these rocks with like these platforms or whatever up on this hill, you go up there and you set your camp up, and what happens is one of the guys like cooks for you or whatever. This chef of I don't know, some guy likes to cook for everybody in the group, and that'll give you like stat boost and stuff. But while you're sitting there, they kind of chit chat or whatever. This little jazzy music starts up, and they're all just sitting there in front of the campfire, and man, that's just a little point. I've seen other people say this online, but I felt it when I was playing. I was like, this adds to the mood big time. And you feel like you're camping with these guys. You feel like you're going on this adventure. It adds just, it's such a little touch. They didn't need to do it. They could have just put like a little goofy spinning save sphere thing and all the other Final Fantasies and be like, all right, save, and then you'll get But adding this little touch adds a major mood to the story, and I enjoy that a lot. So you replenish your health, whatever, or get those bonuses. That's what I want to say about the gameplay too. Some people won't like this, but with Final Fantasy 13 they did this. Don't get afraid, it's just a little point. But when you would get out of a battle, and you would go back to the, walking around the world, in Final Fantasy 13 your health and your MP were refilled. And I was just, thank you, like, these older PS1 RPGs, not just Final Fantasy or whatever, but when you get out of a battle, for some reason, they would make you heal yourself and heal, like, your magic, and you have to go in and get, MP potions and heal yourself, find a save point. And it's such a drag now that I'm older. I don't care about that stuff. I know it doesn't. I know some people might use that excuse, like, or not excuse, but kind of another point on that and say, well, it's not like an RPG. You're not really role playing if you got hurt in battle or whatever. But I'm jumping right into the next thing I'm wanting to do, and I just want to play the game. And I think that this game does that very well. After you fight, you're in a big battle, because some of these battles can be big. And after you get out of a battle, you are healing, or you're healed, and your MP's whatever. It's fine. You don't have to go to the menu and go to this and stop the thing. It's just you're jumping into the world. You're actually, instead of like sitting on menus, you're going forth into the world and exploring it and playing the game. You go through, you camp or whatever, and you're tracking this thing. You're trying to find this behemoth to get this, to prove, you have to get its horn or whatever to sell it to get the gil you need. So you're tracking this thing, and that felt different too, because it was like, hey, check this thing out. And items and things you need to check out have like this beam that come out of the ground and have like a little square icon that shows up. So you know, like going up to stuff, they don't have to do a flashing object. The objects do flash on the ground, but they don't have to. In other games that kind of try to solve this problem to make sure you see certain things laying on the ground, this has a beam that comes up. Very helpful. I liked that addition. But you're tracking this behemoth and you're like, whoa, you find blood stuff. You find like rocks that have been slashed. And it's like, wow, like with other, Final Fantasies, this is so out there. It's almost weird to call it a Final Fantasy in some ways, because it uses the lore, it uses chocobos, it uses whatever. But this is a main line Final Fantasy game that's open world, and none have like made a big. Some have, like when it goes with the bosses and whatever, but for just an enemy. Just for like a behemoth or whatever, this enemy that you're trying to get, usually you just go in a random battle, oh shoot, that enemy's huge, and you'd be surprised at that. But this kind of leads up, and this is my favorite things in games, movie, TV shows, but like makes this thing whatever mysterious or like legendary, like, oh gosh, the behemoth or whatever. And when you finally see this thing, it is just jaw dropping. The graphics on this thing, awesome. Like there's spit coming off its tongue. You could just see in its mouth the snarling, the steam that's coming out of its nose or whatever. And all these little thing adds to it, and it's like, whoa, I don't want to mess with this thing. Whereas other games is like, okay, I'm level 45, I can do it. And this one you're like, I just want to stay away from this thing. So yeah, so that was really cool. And you're like exploring and going under crevices and stuff, and eventually you get to this behemoth thing, and all right, we got this plan. You do this plan, and you lead this thing out, and you shoot this barrel thing, and explodes. You think it's dead. No, it's going to take you out. So you run back, and one of the guys suggests, let's go talk to the shops. And this was really cool. I think this demo was done out very, very well, because you go up to this thing, you go to the shop or whatever, and you're checking out the shop, and it's really cool the way they buy stuff. Again, little touches add to it. And when you're buying stuff at these shops, the shop you go to, when you buy something or whatever, when you click to buy that thing, Nodus or whoever the main character is, they're all crazy named people that are in your party. Goes like that to like points like, yeah, I want that or whatever. And it's just those little touches that add like the atmosphere, the mood of the game, and it's neat. And it feels like its own thing. It's carved out a really cool space, I think, of its own. So they say the shopkeeper's like, yeah, check out this cave will help you out, or I don't know what he says, but you go to this cave, and inside are like, you're walking through, it looks beautiful, it's very dark and creepy. You go down deeper, and boom, what falls off the ceiling are the goblins, or I get the name wrong, sorry if I do, from Final Fantasy 1, like the original enemy, and that same design falls off the ground, and you're fighting it, and I was just like, this is perfect. This is like so new of a game, but we're still using that same design and bringing it into the modern day. I think that's cool, and I think that's a nod to, it's still so Final Fantasy, but it's still not, and it's that perfect blend of like new and old that does things well. And I want to add too with this game is, games have tried to, and TV shows and movies and whatever, tried to mix like fantasy with the modern day, because there's cars driving around in this one. The style's very modern and stuff of the characters and stuff. But then like there's goblins running around and stuff, and that's always felt generic and other stuff. But in this, it feels new, it feels fresh, it feels like I actually think this is cool, whereas I just thought it was generic before, and just, I don't know if they focus too much on the modern day and those other things, but this does a perfect blend. So you're fighting these goblins. Again, go back on that. And you're going deeper in the cave, and like, I went towards this one spot where, or you're going through these crevices, and you have to like press X to like kind of shimmy through these small little crevices. And at one point I was doing that, or you're doing that twice or whatever, okay, and you go up to another one, okay, here's another one I gotta do. You press the X button to go through it, and as you're going through it, the camera kind of like moves a little bit, and a goblin is crawling up on the wall towards you through this thing, and you jump back, and you start fighting. And that stood out to me big time, because I was like, again, this just has so much great presentation to it. This has, not saying the other Final Fantasies are bad, but this just has a fresh feel, a fresh, like, this feels like, I don't know, the presentation is incredible. It's really well done, and I had a smile from ear to ear and goosebumps throughout the whole experience, because there were just so many moments like this. There was another moment where I was going up towards something on the ground, and the goblins jumped out or whatever and tried to scare me or whatever, and that did scare me, trying to get that. And that just little fun moments like this, and add to it. So you get to the end of this cave, and you go inside, or you go to the end, and you're in this clearing, and you go up to it, and they say, yeah, Rama, you got Ram or whatever, when it gets to 0 HP, when you die, because when you get to 0 HP, you can actually walk around, and your people can actually help you back up. Or they'll just heal you or whatever. They'll give like a potion or whatever. Or you can actually use I think you can use a Phoenix down then or whatever until you eventually do die for real. And but when you get 0 HP, guess what? Rama will help you, this summon or whatever. And it's like, yeah, it'll have it. He's going to show you his mercy and grace. Just make sure you're 0 HP. And I was like, whoa, okay. So you get out of the cave, and they say, you know what? It's time to go back to that behemoth. So you go back to the behemoth. You sit there. You let it just claw at you, which again, that thing moving around and stuff, the animations on that just feels like a big time deal. It feels like it's not just an enemy with just set animations or whatever, or it is have set animations, but it just feels dynamic, it feels fresh, it feels awesome to play. It just feels great. One thing I want to say too real quick, going on the behemoth, I was in this area either first time or second time in the behemoth. And man, sometimes the frames will drop in this game. At the behemoth fight in particular, when I was running away, or at one point, it dropped down to less than 10 frames. Like, it just was staggering to get back to normal. And I want to say on that, along with some of the combat quirks, are my only two, critiques. But the game's not done. So hopefully fix that, and I believe they will. It feels like there's more work to be done. I think they'll iron that kind of stuff out. Here's to hoping. But those are my two critiques. But overall, I was playing well. I was moving along. The frame rate stayed pretty consistent with some drops in some areas. So you go the second time, you let this thing get to 0 HP, and hold X to summon, okay? So you hold X, and as you're holding that X to summon, you can see in the distance, out in the distance or whatever, like storm, like lightning bolts, and like wind is coming and like getting in front of the screen and stuff. And this freaking giant hand comes up and grabs you, picks you up. And if you've never played Final Fantasy game, or if you have, you know that summons have always been like their show-off time. Square Enix always showed off, like, look how big we can make these things. Look how great looking we can make these summons look. It's always been a staple of the series, and they didn't disappoint. It's this giant old man, and he's holding in your hand or whatever. He throws this like bolt down. It goes down, it hits where the behemoth is at. There's silence for a second, and then boom, and like this huge explosion goes on, and then 9999 like hit points show up. Classic Final Fantasy or whatever. That thing's gonzo, and you kill it, and it just is so satisfying. And the entire ground is left like that sparkle, those sparkle particle effects or whatever, is all orange on the ground for a little bit, and then it like fades off. It's such a beautiful effect, and it feels very next gen, and it feels like, yep, this is Square Enix, the old Square Enix coming back to say, hey, this is how you do next gen. This is what's possible. Yep, we're great, and it just felt good to see that old Square Enix come out in that way. And I saw articles written just on the summons saying, I think the summons are going to be nuts. Yep, just based on this only one, I think they're going to be a sight to behold, and they're gorgeous. So you beat the behemoth. You have the horn. You take the horn back to. You go to, which is really cool. You go across the highway, and there's a gas station there. And I believe these are going to be on the side of all the roads, going up throughout the game, from what I gathered. And you go in, you talk to the clerk, you sell the behemoth horn or whatever. You get your 25,000 gil. Your car is waiting outside. There's a funny exchange with the girl mechanic out there, scantily clad mechanic out there. They always seem to, those Japanese RPGs always like to have the armor of no armor for women, but they did that. And there's a funny exchange. You hit the like go and you drive off, and it does like a montage of like cool story elements or whatever, like just artwork, concept art, and they kind of talk about like, yeah, blah blah. They just talk about the story a little bit, and then it ends and it says, "Hey, thanks for playing," and it cuts back to the title screen with that music. And I got, it's going to sound stupid maybe to some of you, I got kind of emotional. I did, because I haven't had a game that's made me just have those goosebumps, that feeling of just that mood and what they've created, and that road trip thing is really just a cool feature to me. And I think they've nailed the mood, they've nailed the gameplay. I think will be fun once they iron the problems I set out. To the point where I was like, this is everything I want in a game. Like, this is everything that I like in games. Like, these big imaginations, these big turtles on the side of the road that they're showing the trailers, big behemoth, that big imagination. I love action RPG gameplay. It's my favorite genre, really. And man, I got emotional because, and this is the point I want to drive home on my impressions. This felt like, as Final Fantasy VII was to the PlayStation 1 generation, this has the markings and the makings, I should say, sorry, the makings to be the Final Fantasy VII of this generation. I know that's a lot to say. I know that I might look back on this video when this releases and laugh at myself because of it might suck. But what I've played, what I've seen, just glancing through the hole that is this demo to the full game, I'm very impressed. I can't say S's, sorry. Impressed with this game. The mood and the atmosphere, the graphics, the gameplay, I think can come together to make a just fantastic generation defining games, as Final Fantasy VII was to the PS1. When you think PS1, oh, Final Fantasy VII, like that's an immediate whatever. I think this has the makings. This has the tools in store to do that. So it's up to Square Enix to kind of fulfill this, to kind of flesh it out. I think I actually have high hopes that they will with this one. I think they put everything into this one. They've uprooted everything to the point where it's like they're putting everything into this, man. And they spent so many years. I think it's just going to be an experience to behold. So I hope you guys enjoyed kind of my impressions on this. I think it's a great game. It shaping up, as I said, to be something great. I have some more reviews soon. Let me know what you thought of the demo, because I'm actually genuinely interested. I'm looking at like kind of stuff, what people are saying online. I want to see, what other people thought, because I just had an incredible time, and I'm excited to see what other people are saying. Some positive, some negative, but it's cool to see. I think it's sparking up a lot of discussion. This game is going to cause a lot of discussion. So thanks for watching. This is Dweebo. More reviews, figure reviews, game reviews. I like doing that. Let me know what you think too of this adding the gameplay stuff. I really like that PS4 share feature. So see you guys next time. Later.